2 members. There's 1 member missing this evening, and myself, Kevin Antonias, as chair, or sitting as chair this evening. Staff members present this evening, we have Walter Basic, Manager of Community Planning, online, and to my left, Dilhara Aberwardine, the Secretary-Treasurer of the committee. So just a few brief announcements and procedural items. The live streaming, members of the public are advised that the meetings are live streamed by the Town of Grimsby. Individuals and media may be audibly and or visually recorded during this meeting. As a reminder, all electronic devices are to be in silent mode during our committee meeting. Perfect timing. Overview of the meeting procedures. The purpose of the application and any relative correspondence will be heard or summarized, following which the applicant will be given the opportunity to address the application. Any person concerned with the application will then be given an opportunity to speak if they wish. The conclusion of that discussion, the committee will then render a decision and advise of any applicable conditions. So copies of the decisions will be mailed out to the applicant or their agent and to anyone else who wishes to get a copy of the decision. If you want one, please email Dilhara at coa@grimsby.ca. The applicant, the Town of Grimsby, the minister, or a specified person or public body has the right to appeal either the decision itself or the conditions of consent to the OLT, Ontario Land Tribunal, within 20 days of the date of giving notice of under Section 17 for both the consent and the same for a minor variance decision. Specified persons and certain public bodies include utility companies, but do not include, or public utilities, but do not include an individual or community association. So everyone here present will be given an opportunity, if they wish, to comment on the applications being heard. Please address your comments and questions through the chair. We'll ask that you come up to the podium, I believe it's this one here, to speak. Limit your time to 5 minutes. I don't think it'll be an issue tonight by the looks of it. Each participant will be asked to speak only once unless we give you permission. If you hear your comment being presented by someone else, please do not duplicate the remarks, and just give us your name and address for the record. Agencies may comment on applications. We're going to read from those or highlight them and summarize them. And they sometimes request conditions be imposed. Voicing objections to these conditions will not adversely affect the committee's decision, so you may comment on the conditions as well, not just the decision or the recommendation. All members of the committee have viewed the properties in question on the agenda tonight and are familiar with the lands that are subject to these applications. Does anyone have, or of the committee, have a pecuniary interest in the matters before us? Me? No, and I do not as well. Adoption of the agenda. Do I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda for this evening? Adam? Dylan? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, if any? Was carried. And then the committee has had an opportunity to review the minutes of the previous meeting that was held on October 21st, and that included the closed session meetings. Do I have a mover and seconder on those? Fabia, seconder, Adam. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye for the minutes. Opposed, if any? Was carried. Thank you. So are there any requests for withdrawal or adjournment this evening? No. None? Okay. So we have 2 applications before us this evening. A3125, that's 20 Teeter Place, and A3225, that's 200 Mud Street West. So I'm going to hand it over to Dilhara to run through a brief PowerPoint on them one by one, and then we'll have the first applicant come forward if they'd like to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the first application is A3125 for 20 Teeter Place. The purpose of this application is to facilitate the construction of a new detached dwelling. The variances requested are to permit a minimum setback from the interior side lot line of 1.13 meters, whereas a minimum setback from the interior side lot line of 1.8 meters is permitted. To permit a minimum setback from the rear lot line of 8.28 meters, whereas a minimum setback from the rear lot line of approximately 8.8 meters, or 25% of the depth of the lot is permitted. to permit a front yard setback of 4.53 meters, whereas attached garages accessed only by a driveway from a street shall be located no closer than 6 meters to the lot line abutting the street, where the wall of the garage containing the opening for vehicular access faces the lot line abutting the street. And finally, to permit a garage projection of 0.04 meters, whereas no part of a garage shall project beyond the front wall of the first story of the dwelling. And this is an image of the site plan, which was circulated along with the notice of hearing. This is an image of the neighborhood for context. These are the current conditions on site. And these are some elevations of what is proposed for the site. These are the agencies that have commented, and I will summarize those comments for you now. Planning staff support the minor variance proposed by the applicant. They have reviewed the application in the context of the 4 tests outlined under Section 45 of the Planning Act and are of the opinion that the minor variances meet the intent of the official plans and zoning bylaw, is desirable for the appropriate development or use of the lands, and is minor in nature. Public Works staff have no conditions and 1 comment. At the building permit stage, Public Works staff may require a lot grading and drainage plan demonstrating that stormwater runoff will not negatively impact nor rely upon neighboring properties and will conform to the overall master grading plan for this subdivision. NPCA commented to say there are no NPCA regulated features located at this address at this time. As such, the NPCA offers no objections to the proposed development, and the region has no comments. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. As the owner or their agent here wish to comment or address the committee, would you like to come forward and maybe just outline it briefly or respond to the comments? Or give us your name and address for the record, too.
Yeah, so it's Il Brando or Brent Savo Sardero. So I am the owner of 20 Teeter Place. I think it's worth knowing that we developed the property right beside at 18 Teeter Place. We were the first to kick off the development or the custom home builds in that court. We are a boutique home builder. We understand the value of privacy, side yards. We believe that any mature area that we've developed in, we elevate the space so we understand the neighbors' possible concerns about around side yard space, privacy, and all those things. And what we've done was we've carefully designed the spaces to incorporate some of the modern day amenities that people are looking for in a custom home while fitting on the pie-shaped lot. So as you can imagine, in a court, all the lots are somewhat narrow at the front, and then they kind of widen out to the back. So it is a little bit challenging to achieve the spaces required on the interior. So what we did was we came up with a design that only small corners of this build encroach into the setbacks.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions from the committee first? Maybe I should have you just wait just in case they have a question or two. Any questions from the committee? No? Not false alarm. Any questions from the members of the audience would like to speak? Did you like to come forward and ask a question, or maybe you can do it from there? Give us your name and address for the record.
I wonder if you could pull up the plans for this. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, those are all the 4 there, right?
Oh,
Brent, those are those current plans?
Could we just get your name and address for the record? Sorry.
Sure. My name is Paul Demare, And I live at 4 Tour Avenue in Grimsby, which backs directly behind this proposed building. So I'd like to make a discussion about that if I could, some comments. I'm sure Brent will have some response. Okay, so the neighborhood properties are a collection of older homes on larger lots, as everybody knows. When the planned subdivision was put forth several years ago, neighbors fought to reduce the number of planned homes, but only one was reduced by council. Homes are shoehorned to this small cul-de-sac and very close to neighboring lots. In addition, most are higher two-story homes that basically amplify the effect of closeness, thereby reducing the privacy of existing homeowners around that subdivision. You know, Saville built a very nice home in 18 Tour. It was a great job. The neighbors behind it appreciated it. It looks great. It's well done. In its back portion of the two-story home is only one level of windows. That creates better privacy with neighbors behind the house. Its height is lower than others in the area. There's a couple other houses in the area which are quite large, quite high as well. So expectation was that the house beside was also Saville property would be built in similar fashion. Plans in this meeting, I think it shows a higher and second story with a bank of windows facing directly, certainly onto my property. And the height of the cathedral ceilings, along with the added window array, has decreased the privacy level of my property and my neighbors, because you're looking right over. And that's part of a function of height and closeness to my property. So the request for an adjustment in setbacks to enlarge the house further are an additional concern with privacy reduction, especially in the rear portion with an added converted porch. This further reduces the available land separation between our proposed build and my property. And I know it's only 1.5 feet, but it's not a lot of room back there, and it reduces that. We're getting closer. So this is an example of building creep we've seen in Grimsby the last number of years. Requests for adjustments enlarge the build on smaller lots that do not readily support such larger homes. I know the province has flooded proposal to municipality planners to allow a 10% variance without adjustment or hearings to speed up the process to build more houses. That takes away from the rights of the people who are already in those established neighborhoods. So either the builders will make some adjustments, or the existing property owners and taxpayers will suffer from that. This is not a matter about building a bunch of houses. We already went through that process. We had a whole bunch of houses requested. We got one off the list. There's still a lot of houses on that subdivision compared to the existing area. So this is a basic response back to that. We need to look at some of the house sizes and what they're set up for. So I respectfully request the adjustment be rejected or modified, and that Saville revise their house plans. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Any questions from the committee for this neighboring? Well, I'll just ask the committee first if they have any questions for him. I see none.
Sir,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah, Adam.
through you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dylan. I didn't see your hand.
Sorry, I apologize. I don't see that screen when the presentation was on. I was wondering if the Secretary Treasurer could show the where the house is sitting on the lot. I think that there was a slide showing that, and I was wondering if it's possible to see that, please.
That one?
Thank you.
And your property is directly south of that one? Correct. Right. Did you have a question related to that, Dylan?
No, I was just trying to get some kind of context as to what the spacing of this new build versus the existing property behind where we are. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam, you had your hand up?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just clarification on the address of the delegate, if you can, thanks.
Your address again was 4 Tudor Avenue, directly south of the subject.
Okay. I just want to note that's actually a 2-story home as well.
Was that a 2-story home as well that you're in? Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. Perhaps we could have Walter, who was online, I don't see him now, comment on the planning department's opinion on this. I know there's not a request for a height variance, but maybe comment on some of the others.
Through your chair, can I take the map down, the site plan down, Dylan?
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
No worries.
It would be helpful.
Thanks.
Sorry, Dilhara. It would be helpful if it stays up.
Oh, okay. All right. Will do.
Yeah. The planning department's position is supportive of the application. And again, like the applicant indicated, there are only corners of the building. As you see on the left-hand side, it's just a small portion of the building that encroaches. And at the south side, it's a small portion of the building that encroaches. The amount of encroachment that would impact the neighboring property to the south is the one to the south, which is the rear yard encroachment. I want everybody to note that it's only a small portion of the building that's within that area. The significant majority of the building is well behind the minimum rear yard setback. I would also note that if the building is moved north by 1.5 feet, it would probably not be perceptible to neighbors without actually measuring the difference. So the impact from our perspective from what is permitted is non-existent, particularly with the rear yard setback. The other item I'd like to note is that the building isn't parallel to the rear lot line, it's diagonal to the rear lot line. So the windows are facing not directly onto the rear of the neighboring property, but more at an angle. So that even further reduces the impact. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Walter. Did the applicant or owner wish to respond as well to those points? Or sure, yep, come forward.
So, Paul, was it? So I'm sensitive to this. I, too, am a homeowner. I have parents that live in a mature area. This is not something that we would want to happen, especially given that there was a raw lot there since the beginning of time. So I do apologize if this has, ruined anybody's view or anything like that. But our intention was to go into this neighborhood and sort of build on the existing homes and style that has already been there. So on lot 18, which you referred to, which was a bungalow loft, was a very low design, and it was because we wanted to blend in with the neighborhood. But of course, given the high cost of construction, when we had went to sell this house, we had learned that people are looking for a lot more space in a build, and the only way to achieve that is to go up to a full 2-story. And that was the primary driving factor. Otherwise, we would have loved to put in another bungalow and keep the privacy from the lots, the abutting lots. So I apologize, but we did try on this one.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the committee, or is there anyone else in the audience like to speak to this? Sir, Fabia?
Could I have the address of the gentleman that lives behind this project?
4 Tudor.
Tuer. Okay. Okay. Thank you. That was it.
Anyone else on the committee have further questions before I go back to Paul, the neighbor?
There's just one more.
Yep.
If I can.
Okay.
Sorry, you should come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thing I wanted to mention was Lot 14, which is, I don't know if you can see it there, Lot 14, it's the first lot when you come over the right. They've applied for a variance, a very aggressive variance, that reduced their side yard down to only 3 feet across the entire length of their side yard. And there was no question to that. And they've done the same with their rear lot line, where they've pushed the build out significantly. And so given that almost a precedence has been put on that, and while the precedence was set, we still didn't even use that to our advantage to build a bigger home. We still wanted to maintain the streetscape and side yards, even given that fact that we could have.
I think that one's it's under construction online. I can't remember if it was built when we went in there, but
Yeah, it's aggressive,
Yeah.
the encroachment.
yeah.
And so there you can see, like, we really did do our part to try and stay in line with the regular zoning standards set out in that court.
And was that another builder then? Or
It was I believe it's a owner-built.
owner-builder.
home. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Paul, did you wish to come up?
Now, to that response, I mean, Mr. Savo is correct. It was an aggressive attempt. What was approved, they went overboard on that. And there was no objection because the neighbor properties are owned by the developer. So therefore, there's no interest conflict there, but it lords over the properties. Now, those properties are now up for sale. So that's an interesting point. So because the developer and the builder worked together on that, I think, to get this aggressive adjustment. And the town of Grimsby said, it's okay. Okay, that's not okay. Because if you look at that house, it stands out like a sore thumb. It's huge. It's not in good measurement with the other homes in the area. And this is another slap in the face, what happened with the developer coming in, trying to put too many homes in a small area. Now, I appreciate Mr. Saville said he's trying to make it in a reasonable fashion. The lots are the same as 18, same size, a little bit bigger because it's pied out, but it was a bungalow, and I understand there's a cost issue there, not being able to make as much money on it. I appreciate that because people want to build. There's not a lot of people who want to build in that area without the big property. So they want to go high, but they also now want to go back. So I'm just saying, enough is enough. And this town of Grimsby can do something about it. But the province is pushing the planning departments to say, oh, it's okay, it's 10%, it's allowable, don't worry about it, no more adjustment committees. Well, that hasn't been passed yet, so you can still say something about it right now to save that group, because there's 2 other properties that will go in, and if one's got it, and then if this one goes with it, the next 2 will go the same thing. We'll have these very high, very large, and as you well said, Mr. Saville, it's about putting in as much as you can into a small property. Well, again, maybe the property should have been as small. Maybe they should have been larger. And not as many houses gone on it. But that ship has sailed. Now it's about adjusting this. So Grimsby has to get the ability to say no and not worry about the province pushing it down their throats. So as neighbors in the area, I mean, it's only a few number of areas, but in that back of that, there is 2 pools right in those corners. My pool and my neighbor pool, and of course, the other pool. And those look right over those pools. The fences are small. They can't go up that high. So now all of a sudden, you've got people looking right in on your pool. Privacy is gone. And that was not what we bought in for. That's what we paid our money for. We didn't buy into that. So I'm just saying that is unacceptable. And I think this should be adjusted as best you can. I know you can't stop it, but I know that Mr. Saville has abilities to make housing a little better. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from the committee members? We've heard from the owner and the planning department as well. Is there any further questions or comments before we call for a motion on this, or maybe some comments? And then if you do make a motion, the reasons for? Yes, Adam?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just looking at the site plan and everything, I hear the neighbors' concerns, but I just don't feel, even if you move the building 60 centimeters forward to get it out of that rear yard, it would make much of a difference. Even the other variances are actually very minor, and if they weren't needed, I mean, this building could go without having to come to the committee, and it would still more or less be the same form factor.
Anybody else? I was going to say the same thing, basically. I think to Walter's point, I mean, we've kind of heard from both sides, and I think it is just a triangular intrusion, and if it was moved, it would only have to be moved, a very small distance, and it would be effectively the same building. So I think the builder appears to have done his best. I mean, then it's a question of zoning. Council zoned it for this height and mass and coverage ratio, so and did reduce the one lot in that subdivision reportedly. So I think they've done their best to try to build a compatible infill development, recognizing the what buyers want today as well. So I think they've addressed that pretty well, and I think the variances are minor in my opinion too. But I'll let one of the other members make a motion. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just make a motion. I'll just pull up my screen here. Second. Okay, so the motion would be resolve that minor variance application A3125 for 20 Teeter Place to permit a minimum setback from the interior side lot line of 1.13 meters, whereas a minimum setback from the interior side lot line of 1.8 meters is permitted as per Table 11 of Section 7.21 of Zoning Bylaw 1445 as amended, to permit a minimum setback from the rear lot line of 8.28 meters, whereas a minimum setback from the rear lot line of approximately 8.8 meters, 25% of the depth of the lot is permitted as per Table 11 of Section 7.21 of Zoning Bylaw 1445 as amended, to permit a front yard setback of 4.53 meters, whereas attached garages accessed only by driveway from a street shall be located no closer than 6.0 meters to the lot line, abutting the street, where the wall of the garage containing the opening for the vehicular access faces the lot line, abutting the street, as per Section 4.29A2 of Zoning Bylaw 1445 as amended, to permit a garage projection of 0.04 meters, whereas no part of a garage shall project beyond the front wall of the first story of the dwelling, as per Section 4.29B of Zoning Bylaw 1445 as amended, be approved for the reasons that it meets the intents of the zoning bylaw and official plan. It's desirable for the development of the land, and it's minor in nature, and the reasons are for the reasons given in the planning report. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder, Fabia. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Raise your hand. Opposed, if any. It was carried. So there is a 20-day appeal period before it becomes final and binding. Thank you for attending and your feedback. Okay, the next application this evening then is minor variance A3225 for 200 Mud Street West to permit a minimum setback for an accessory building. Dilhara?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so the purpose of this application is to construct an accessory building. And the variances requested are to permit a minimum setback for an accessory building from the interior side lot line of 1 meter, whereas a minimum setback from the interior side lot line of 3 meters is permitted. To permit a minimum setback for an accessory building from the rear lot line of 1 meter, whereas a minimum setback from the rear lot line of 3 meters is permitted. To permit a maximum eaves overhang projection for an accessory building of 0.38 meters into the required minimum yard, whereas a maximum eaves overhang projection of 0.25 meters is permitted. To permit a maximum overall lot coverage of 15% on an unserviced lot where a dwelling is a principal use, whereas a maximum overall lot coverage of 7.5% is permitted. And this is an image of the site plan, which was circulated along with the notice of hearing. This is an image of the neighborhood for context. These are the current conditions on site. And this is what is proposed for the accessory building. And these are the agencies that have provided comments, and I will summarize those comments for you now. Planning staff support the minor variance proposed by the applicant. They have reviewed the application in the context of the 4 tests outlined under Section 45 of the Planning Act, and are of the opinion that the minor variance meets the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, is desirable for the appropriate development or use of the lands, and is minor in nature. Heritage planning staff have the following comments. In summary, in accordance with the provincial planning statement and Niagara official plan, development and site alteration shall not be permitted within areas of archaeological potential unless significant archaeological resources have been conserved or the land has been investigated and cleared or mitigated following clearance from the province. Thus, an archaeological assessment is required and has been included as a recommended condition of approval. So the two conditions that have been recommended by the heritage staff, number 1, that the applicant owner submit the completed stage 1 archaeological assessment and subsequent studies if applicable, as well as a letter from the Ministry of Citizenship and Multiculturalism confirming that all the submitted archaeological assessments, stage 1, stage 2 and others if applicable, have been entered into the Ontario Public Register of Archaeological Reports as a condition of licensing in accordance with the Ontario Heritage Act are required. If the ministry requires further archaeological work to be completed prior to acknowledging the report must also be submitted to and acknowledged by the ministry to the satisfaction of the town of Grimsby prior to clearance of this condition. No demolition, grading, or other soil disturbances shall take place on the subject property prior to the issuance of a letter from MCM through the town of Grimsby confirming that all archaeological resource concerns have met licensing and resource conservation requirements. Condition number 2, that the owner be informed of the following advisory clause. If deeply buried or previously undiscovered archaeological remains and resources are found during development activities on the subject lands, all activities must stop immediately. If the discovery is human remains, contact the Niagara Regional Police Service and coroner to secure the site. If the discovery is not human remains, the area must be secured to prevent site disturbance. The project proponent must then follow the steps outlined in the Niagara Region Archaeological Management Plan, Appendix A. Public Works staff have no conditions and 1 comment. Public Works staff note that there is an existing shed encroaching onto town right-of-way. The region has the following comments. Please note, in the future, if the deck or septic tank requires replacement, the septic tank will need to be located 1.5 meters away from any structure to meet minimum building code requirements. The liquid level within the tank was at a good working level. The exact location of the septic bed is unknown. However, it appears the bed is also located west of the dwelling. No defects were observed with the septic system at the time of our inspection. It appears the proposed accessory building will not encroach on the existing sewage system and will exceed the minimum 5-meter setback required in the building code. The accessory building does not remove usable land for a replacement system in the future, as the cistern water supply for the dwelling is also on the eastern side, and the septic system would be required to maintain a 15-meter setback from the cistern. Due to the size of the property and constructed features on site, like the side deck, gazebo, fire pit, any replacement system would be required to be installed in the front yard. Please note, tertiary treatment may be required due to the minimum amount of usable land and clay soils. Therefore, we have no objections to the construction of the accessory building in accordance with the plans submitted. Please note, the accessory building shall not contain any living space, bedrooms, or fixture units. The NPCA has no objections to the general proposal to increase lot coverage to support an accessory structure at this address. They are supportive of the general location and the nature of the application. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is the owner, I believe, here? Would you like to come forward and give us your name and address for the record, and maybe respond to or comment on the staff report and or conditions requested?
Sure. My name's Quentin Hawk. I live at 200 Mudd Street West. I've lived there for about 12 years. I lived in Grimsby for those 12 years. Technically, it's Grassy, I guess, but we're in Grimsby. And before that, I was in Stony Creek. I get along with both of my neighbors on each side, one of who is here today, that's John. We get along great. And my other neighbor, I cut her grass all the time. You know, we have dinner, exchange vegetables in the garden, stuff like that. The shed that we were talking about that is on the road allowance, there was a dilapidated shed there before. I wasn't aware that it was on the road allowance, so I put a new one where the old one was. If I need to move that, no problem. I'd also like to move for the removal of the need for the archaeological survey. A lot of my lot has already been dug up. I have a main gas line that goes across the front of my lot. Cogeco has come down the side of my lot. I have hydro lines down the middle of my lot. My garden's been dug up. I mean, I feel like it's not needed. That's about all I have to say.
Okay,
Any
thank you.
questions?
Yep. Questions from the committee? Fabia?
Hi, I just have one question. It appears to me, through the chair, sorry. It appears to me, is it a garage just for storage?
It's like a hobby shop, you know, ATVs. I do woodworking, but I only have a single garage right now.
Okay,
And my wife wants to park in there in the winter, so.
okay, so just a major, like a minor garage back there.
Yeah.
It seems, isn't there on the next property a huge shed as well?
So both my neighbors have sheds in their rear yards as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anybody here that's objecting?
I'm going to open it up next, if there's anybody here objecting.
All right, thanks. Thanks so much.
Any other questions from the committee before we open it up to the public? Dylan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do understand the applicant's request regarding the archaeological survey, the additional cost and inconvenience. Is that something, just for clarity, can I ask, is that something that we can, as a committee, simply not require? Like, can we not require that as a condition if it's recommended, or? I mean, I'm sympathetic to the applicant's request, so that's why I'd like to ask.
Yeah, I'll ask Walter, but I was going to reiterate or echo your comments. We had this once before at our previous meeting, but he had already gone out and spent the $2,800, and we asked him if he had surveyed his entire property, or did they ask him just to survey where he was building garage? Well, they made him survey the entire property, which is ridiculous. It's a 1 acre developed lot with topsoil that's been brought in probably, and it's got all sorts. I was just looking on Google Maps, and when you inspect it, I was going to have them pull it up. when you go by there, there's gazebos and sheds and garages and lawns. You're not going to ask someone to tear up their lawn to look for some archaeological. Obviously, I wouldn't remove point 2 because it's the law. It's if you find bones, obviously you're going to stop. But 1 is a ridiculous requirement. It was never required in the past from the region. I think maybe Walter can comment on this, our planning department, heritage department seems to be going a little overboard on this request on a developed lot, what's effectively a developed lot.
Thank you, through you, Chair. It's a requirement in the Provincial Planning Act, and since that was adopted in the Provincial Planning Act, the region of Niagara implemented the policies that are referenced in the Heritage Report or Heritage Memo in the region's official plan. The region's official plan has now been adopted as the Grimsby official plan with the removal of planning authority from the region. So it is now Grimsby's official plan requirement. So we are simply just reiterating what the provincial and regional and now local planning policies say and what's required. As the chair has mentioned previously, the committee has considered this in the past and has, I believe, on several occasions waived the requirement for the study and just simply left the second condition in there, which requires reporting of any artifacts, not just bones, but artifacts and or human remains. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. I would agree with that. I think it's an official plan policy. It's a recommendation. It's not law. It's not a zoning bylaw requirement or another bylaw requirement. So it's a policy recommendation. So I think in this case, common sense would say you waive that number 1. I would wholeheartedly agree with that as being unnecessary. And obviously 2 would stay in because if there's something significant, they would obviously stop work. So I could support that, Dylan, to your question. I think the last one was approved or left in because he had already gone out and done the study as a result of a pre-con meeting with staff. And so he was just being proactive and did the study first. So. Is there anyone in the audience like to speak to this? Did you want to comment at all? No? Okay. If there's no further questions or comments from the committee, then I'll call for a motion with reasons and any conditions. Go ahead, Fabia.
I can support this. So let it be resolved. I'm just going to sort that out. That minor variance application A32-25 for 200 Mud Street West to permit a minimum setback for an accessory building from the interior side lot of 1.0 meter, whereas a minimum setback from the interior side lot line of 3.0 meters is permitted as per Table 2 of Section 4.18 K of Zoning Bylaw 14-45. As amended, to permit setback for an accessory building from the rear lot line of 1.0 meter, whereas the minimum setback from the rear lot line of 3.0 meters is permitted, as per Table 2 of Section 4.18 of Zoning Bylaw 14-45. As amended, to permit a maximum eaves overhang projection for an accessory building of 0.38 meters into the required minimum yard, whereas a maximum eaves overhang projection of 0.25 meters is permitted as per Section 4.18D of Zoning Bylaw 14-45 as amended. To permit a maximum overall lot coverage of 15% of an unserviced lot where a dwelling is principal use, whereas the maximum overall lot coverage of 7.5% is permitted as per Section 6.2.1, Table 7, and Section 4.18F of Zoning Bylaw 14-45 as amended, be approved with one condition, number 2 only, omitting number 1, that the owner be informed of the following advisory clause. If deeply buried or previously undiscovered archaeological remains are found during development activities on the subject lands, all activities must stop. If the discovery is human remains, contact the Niagara Regional Police Service and coroner to secure the site. If the discovery is not human remains, the area must be secured to prevent site disturbance. The project proponent must then follow the steps outlined in the Niagara Region Archaeological Management Plan, Appendix A.
Thank you. A seconder? Dylan? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, if any? It was carried. So there is a 20-day appeal period before it becomes final and binding, but it's been approved with the one condition. Thank you. And that's all we have on the agenda this evening. That's it. Thank you. Have a good evening. Next meeting, December? The 16th of December. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.